Hi, in this tutorial, I will show how to implement a comprehensive page object model. All right, so before we get to the implementation, first we need to introduce this, right? So what is a page object model and why we are using this in our framework? A page object model is a design pattern. And the reason that why we are using the framework, there are a couple of good reasons. The reason that we are using is to make our framework more readable, to reuse the code, to save the time, and to manage our framework properly. So the best analogy to this page object model is a library. So when you walk into the library, you will see a different section of the books, right? For example, you will see science fiction. You will see, for example, mechanical, right? You will see chemistry, biology, and et cetera, et cetera. So there are different sections of the book. And if you ask the question, why do they do that? So the reason is to find the book, to readability, so that they can find the book easily, to save the time. And, that's the main reason. So why we are using page object models? For readability, to reuse the code, to make it, manageable. That's the reason. But I just want to emphasize that a page object model has nothing to do with the code. It just shows you how to organize your framework. Just like library, they categorize their book, they put it into different section. The same idea, the same concept applies to page object model. So to implement the page object model, we need to create a page for every web page of the application. And once we create these pages, what do we put inside these pages? We put all the web elements. We collect all the web elements, and also we develop the methods so that later we can use it. So after we are done with the pages, then we have a separate section for the tests that I will show you all these steps. So in the test, we need to create the objects of the classes that we created. All right, so when I show you, I'm pretty sure that you will have a clear picture of by the end of this tutorial. Of course, I'm planning to do multiple parts because page object model is a really comprehensive, and it's a big topic. So I'm planning to do a multiple parts and make sure that you follow all those parts to learn the page object model. All right, so let's get it started. Let me actually go to the project. So this is our project, and I'm using a Maven project. I have all the dependency. And, if you don't know how to set up Maven project, I also have the video. You can go and check out this video to set up your Maven project with the Java. Okay. So right now, as I told you that when it comes to the page object models, we design it, right? So the way that it designed it, the first idea is for every web page of the application, right? So let's say that we want to work on this login page, right? Now we need a page for this. We need to find all the elements. So let me show you. And after we find the elements, we need to write the method, okay? So let's go and, as I said, that when it comes to the page object models, we need to put everything like libraries into different categories, right? So I'm going to call this code for life, okay? Let's see if it's supported. Okay, so this is our main package, right? And after that, let's create, as I said, that we need, then what we need is, what's going on here? We need a package for pages, right? We need a package for pages, as I told you, because we are going to have a lot of classes for every web page of the application. All right, so page. If you see if you see, I just want this one to go down, right? Not to be on the same line. So to do that, you need to go to the setting, and of course in IntelliJ, and then come to hand check this option, okay? Compact middle package. All right, so now we can see that we have a different package. All right, so as I said, the first step of the page object model is that for every web page of the application, you create a class. So we are going to put our classes, all our classes into the pages package, right? And then what we need after that, what we need to do is let's create another one for taste, because taste in page object model is also separate, that I will show you. So one package we need for the taste. And also, what else do we need? Let's say that I need another one for PageBase. So what is for this PageBase? PageBase, we are going to use all, as I told you, one of the benefit of the page object model is to reuse the code, right? So we are going to put all our methods into the PageBase that will be used by pages that I will show you with example later on, okay? And then what else do we need? We need another package, and let me call this TestBase, right? So we are going to put all our methods that will be used by all the test cases, by all the test methods, so that to avoid the repetition, to avoid the code duplication. And this was for the TestBase. And let me actually create another one. And this one, I'm going to put my, for example, utilities, right? So let's put all our utilities, some methods that we need to use on regular basis a lot, right? We can put this into the utilities. All right, so that's it. That is how we organize like libraries. Now, after we did that, so how we can implement the page object model, as I told you. So let's first start with this. First start with a login page. Okay. So now we have this login page, and let's create a class for this login page. Okay. So as I said that you create your pages inside the page package. Okay. Right click, go to and create a class. And what do we call this? Login page. Okay. So we're going to call this login page. And after we create this, now we need our WebDriver. Okay. WebDriver. And after you do that, you need to create a constructor of this. So let's create a constructor, and okay. All right. So now we create a constructor. Now what we need to do, we need to find our elements so that we can perform operation, right? So let's say that I want to find this element, right click, inspect, and go to, let's say that, what is that? For example, we can use this ID, right? What is the next one? For the password, we are going to use also as ID password. And for the login, to save the time, I already know this, it is login.button, right? So they all have ID, which is pretty easy to find the elements. So right now, what we need to do is we need to use the by, right? By class and Selenium. Okay, so I'm going to use by, and then first it says as username, right? So let's say username, and I'm going to use that by ID. And what was the ID for my username? It was user name, right? Of course, it's not a good idea. Always try to copy, right? Because sometimes you could make a mistake, misspell something, and then you run into the problem. For example, if you go and then the username is this one, just double click and copy, just paste it. But since I already know that, I don't want to do that to save some times. All right. Okay, so now what else do we need to find from this? For example, we need to find password, right? This call this password. And what was the ID for the password? It was password, right? So and then what we need to find is also we need to find the login button, right? Login btn and ID. All right, so it was login dash b button. All right, so this is how you find your element in a page. And now, as I told you, you need to develop your method. We need to develop our method to send the username, to send the password, and to click on the login button. So how you create your method? Just very easy. And create a method. For example, we can say send, let's say username, right? Send username. Let's call it text because we are going to send username. And right now, what do we need to do here? we need to say driver find element. Since it's already configured, right? What we need to do, username, right? And then we are going to use send keys method. So let's actually add a parameter to this method so that we can add our, so let's, I'm going to call this a string user, right? So user, or I can say, let's not call it username, just user text, whatever, it doesn't matter. But so then I'm going to pass this. So this was one of the method that we just wrote. What this one does, it sends the username text, right? So let's actually create one more. We need two more, right? Public void, and then we can say send password text, right? So we send password, and again, same step, find element, and now, oops, we don't need that because we already used the by method, and send password. Oops, again, I'm gonna add another parameter. I'm gonna call this pass, right? So we are gonna pass the parameter, and this is the last method that I need to do is public void send. Oh, oops, it's actually click. What we do here, we want to click on the login button, right? Click login btn, and this is it. Driver.find element, and we have the login button. We already find that, and we just need to click on it, right? So right now, this is how we do when it comes to the pages. We find the elements with a by. First, we need the constructor of the class. After you have the constructor, we need to do this, right? We need to write our method to perform the operation. So now what you need to do, you need to create a test for this, right? As I told you, that tests are separated, and test object model tests are separated from the pages. So let's right click and create a class, right? So I'm gonna call this login. Let's call this login test, right? Login test. All right, so let's create this. And now also we need a reference variable of our driver, right? We need a reference of variable of our drivers. And now what we need to do is now in the test class, we need to write our test, right? So let's call this test login function. Login functionality or login function. Okay, so now this is our method. Of course, I forgot to add the test annotation because this is a test. Okay, so now, as I told you, we need to create the object of the page. This is our class, just the login page, right? That we just what we did, we made a constructor, we generated a constructor, we find the element, and we write our method. Now to access all these, what we need to do, we need to create an object of this class and the test class. So this is pretty easy. So let's create, and it is called what? It's called login page, right? Login page. Login page equal to and login page. Now we just need our driver, and that's it. Now that we create an object, we can access all of the method inside. The first method that we want to do is we want to send our username, right? So what's the username for that website is standard-user. That's the username. And then what we need to do is send our password, right? So let's send the password, and the password is secret_sauce. All right. So now what else we need to do? We need to use the to click on the login button, right? So this is how you do that when it comes to, you need to create an object of the page class and then use the method. So these all method comes from the login page, right? Send username text, send password text, and login button. If you go back, these are all the method that we just developed, right? So these are all the method that we just developed. As you can see right now, our test is pretty straightforward, right? So what else we need to do here? I need to create the before and after, right? Before and after in TestNG, which is pretty, you guys, you already know that the before and after method is used to execute before and after every single test method, right? So I'm going to actually copy and paste this because to just save some time. So before method and after method. Before method is the driver setup, is going to the website, and after method is going to close the browser. This one will be executed before every single test function, right? So now let's run our test and see, okay? All right, so this is successful, but we did not do any assertion, right? So let's say what we need to do after we log in. So standard user and the password is secret sauce, right? Secret underscore sauce. So we logged in, right? We just want to make sure, let's say, perform an assertion, like assertion with this one. We are going to make sure that this is a text, span text. So how we find the element, span is the tag name, and then we have text, right? And this is the, let's have the text, and this is, and that's it. We find this element. And now let's perform a quick assertion, because a test case without assertion is meaningless, right? So again, what we need to do here, we need to go back to our page because this is the login page, right? Let's find this element, and this is by, and what is that? This is let's call it a product label, right? Whatever you want to name it, doesn't matter. Product label. And then I'm going to use that by expat, right? Because this was expat. So this is the method that we, this is the element. Now we need to write a method to return that text for us, right? So let's say public string, and now we can say return text, because it's going to return the text of that product for us. Okay, so what we need to do is find element, and now what was the name? It was product label, right? So what we want to do with this, we want to get the text. Okay, so now I can return this, but let me actually store this inside a, let me store this inside a text, txt string, and then return the string. So right now, what this method does is going to go and get the text of that product, right? It's going to get the text of this product and get it for me. All right. So now we need to, as I say, we need to again come back. And after we log in, I'm going to use the object again, the object of that page. And now we can see that we have the method, right? What was the method? Return text. Okay, so this is the return, the method. And let me actually, what was the, let's call this actual text, right? And this was the text that we got from, this is not actually the text is in uppercase, and it was what? Products, right? So this is the actual text. And now we want to compare this text to the text that we get from the website, right? Actual text. Okay, so right now, let's perform an assertion. I can say assert dot assert equals, and now we got our then we got our actual text and also the one that comes from the page, right? So now let's perform this assertion, and okay, so let's run this. Okay, before I add any weight, let's run this. Okay, so the test is not successful and unable to locate the element. And okay, so let's see what's going on here. Login page, it's probably okay. So it probably needs some weight, okay, because after it login, or we use we don't want to use this one because we don't actually need that. So after it login, let's actually add some weight because I think it's pretty fast, and that's the reason it gets failed. Okay, 3.slip, and I'm gonna add a 2-second wait, right? So let's actually add a 2-second wait, and let's run this again. Products. Oh, we did not actually log in. So the password must be wrong, the password that I had. So it is, let me actually go to the page. Secret underscore sauce, standard user. So what is the password? I made a mistake, I believe. Let me actually log in. Okay. So let's log out and see, because the password is visible here. Okay. So it's standard user and secret sauce. Oh, standard dash user. Okay. So this was the mistake that I made. It was not underscore, right? It's underscore, standard underscore user. Now it should be successful. Okay. So now it log in and it's successful, right? Now the test is passed. All right, so this is how you design the page object model. First, what you need to do for every web page, you need to create a class. After you create a class, you find the elements by this method. Of course, the first step, you need a constructor. And after the constructor, you need to find the element. All right. And after you develop your method, you create an object of that page class, and after use the object to call the method, right? You use the object to call the method. All right, so let's actually do another test. So I'm going to call this, let's call this login page, login, again, test 2. But this one, it's going to be login test 2. All right. So let's actually create that. The first step, what I need to do is I need to use driver. Okay. So this is the driver. I need a reference variable of my driver. All right. So now, in the next step, what I need to do, I'm going to log in with the wrong username and password. Okay. And I want to confirm that this one actually is up here when you put in the wrong username and password. I just want to confirm this one. Okay. So as you already know, we have the username, we have the password, we have the login button. We just need to find this label, right? So let's find this label. And what is this? And this is H3. So we can use the text with the H3 as a tag, right? So how we can do that? We're going to use H3 relative XPath, and we have text. And now let's do this. Okay, so we find the element, and now let's go back to because this is also a login page, we are going to put everything in the login page, right? So let's find this element, let's store this, and now, okay. So what I need to know, let's say login error text, right? This is login error text. And again, we need to do by XPath, right? And let's paste this, add a semicolon at the end. All right, so now we find our element. As again, we need to write a method to return that text for us, right? Why do we want to return it? So that we can perform the assertion. All right, so now, again, I need a method, public, and the return type must be string because I want to get that text from the website and compare that, right? So let's say that return, you can say return login text error, right? Okay. And now what we need to do here, we need to say driver find element. And what was the name? The name was login error text, right? So what do we want to do with this? Now we can say whatever you want to do. We want to get the text, right? We want to get the text. Okay. You can return this directly. For example, I can say, okay. Now what it does is gonna get that text from the website and return it for us. Okay. So now let's go back to the login test 2. And now let's create another test. Okay. So I'm going to call this public void. Let's say verify login error text. We want to verify that that text appears when you put in the wrong username and password, right? So the first thing what we need to do, we need to create an object of that page. After we creating the create the object, we need to pass the driver the constructor as a constructor. All right. So now we create an object. Let's use that object. The first thing we need to use send username, right? But this time we are gonna send the wrong username. So let's say random text. And again, we need to send the password, right? Send the password text, and also this one is wrong. And then we're gonna click on the login button, right? Click on the login button. This also comes from the web page. And after that, what was the actual, let's say, what was the text name? Again, you can say actual login error text, right? Actual login text. And what was the text? The text, I believe that I already copied. Okay, this is the actual text. And also, we are going to use that method that we just developed in the page class. So we're going to compare this one right here, this text, right? This text right here with the text that comes from the website. And also we have the method for that, right? And what was the method? It was return login text. Okay. So let's run this method. Okay. So before doing that, we also need a before and after method for this one as well, right? So what I do, I'm going to copy because I already have this in that page, and I'm going to copy that. Copy and go back to your, and then paste it just right here. All right, before and after method, we have that, and now let's run this. All right, so there you go. Why it failed? Let's see what's the reason. Okay, the text did not match, right? This is the text, and let's what I can do. I think I need to here I return it directly. So do not return this directly first. Let's actually store that into an element, and I'm gonna call this login error. That's enough. Okay, and now after you store it, now you can return it, right? Return login error. Okay, now let's run it again, and hopefully this time it's gonna be correct. Oops. Oh, I got it. I need to stop this. Okay, this one is also gonna fail. The reason is that we did not copy the actual text. The actual text is not right. We copied the element, right? So I need to go back and find the actual text. Where is the actual text? So this is the actual text. Double click, highlight it, copy. And now I need to go back and paste it right here. This is the actual text. Paste it, and let's run it again. This time it should pass, right? All right, so this time it passed. This is the idea that this is how you implement the page object models, but this is very, very basic. In the next video, we are going to improve a lot of stuff on this page object model. For example, if you notice, there are a lot of repetition, right? For example, we can say that when it comes to the page, login page, when it comes to the login page, you have a constructor, right? You have a constructor here. And if you create another page, you're going to create another constructor, which this one is repetition. We don't want to repeat anything. When it comes to the login page, here we have a test, but we have a before and after method here, right? And we have the test. And this in the next text and the next test, we have the same thing. We have the before and after method, and we have a test. So we don't want to repeat this for every single test case. And we need this, right? So we need the before method to set up the WebDriver, open up the website for us. And also we needed to close the driver. But we don't want to repeat for every test. So how we can improve this so that we don't have to write this over and over, how we can do that? I will do that in the next part of the page object models. And this is about the first part. I think that's it. The main idea being the page object model, it's a design pattern. It shows you how to design your frameworks. For every web page of the application, you create a class, a page class, you find all the web elements and you develop the method. So after the page is done, you need to have the test class, right? In the test class, you need to create the object of the page class and then use the object to access those methods. And also you need to perform the assertion. And the next part, we will improve these page object models, and we are going to put some advanced, methods and advanced stuff. All right. And that's it about this part. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.